Good evening, everybody. My name is Victor Walker, and this is my submission for Module 4's leadership presentation and discussion. A little bit about me. That is my family's Christmas portrait from this past December, November timeframe. I am married 14 years to my wife, Kaylin, that you can see on the right. The little one I'm holding is my son, Gideon. He is now a year old. And the other one there is James, who just turned 10 back in May. And I'm in the Air Force. My leadership assessment results were that I am a democratic leader, which means that I take input from team members when making decisions and that I value my team participating in the decision-making process. And this is a style that works better when everyone knows their roles and the group's objectives. I agreed with this because the description does match behavior that I have observed in myself. So I do seek out input from my subordinates on whatever projects or problems we have before I make a decision. And I do that before I make a recommendation to my senior officers on what we should be doing. I do cultivate our team's buy-in by ensuring that everyone knows our objectives and not just the objectives, but the results and the impact of our work. I believe that it is not enough to cultivate that information flow from my team, but to make sure that they understand and see that the work that they are doing is valuable and has real impact. In my meetings with my team, rank is not a barrier to participation. So I supervise somebody with two stripes, somebody with three. I have a staff sergeant working for me. And in that meeting, everybody gets the same amount of time to speak to me before I have to go talk to the boss. Correlation to supervisor subordinate communication that I picked is openness to communication. So, in this style, the leader must cultivate a relationship in which subordinates are empowered to provide honest feedback to the supervisor. And without this, I will not be receiving the data flow that is important for me as a democratic leader to have. I do have a lot more rank than somebody, the junior member on my team, and it can be intimidating, and it's easy to forget that at this point of my career. But I need him to trust that if he tells me that I'm doing something wrong or thinking something wrong, I am not going to come down on him for providing negative feedback. These relationships must be deliberately cultivated, which takes time and effort. I do feel like I spend more time taking care of human issues than other people in my unit, but it does pay off. Criticisms of subordinates may reduce information flow, which limits the effectiveness of the decisions that I can make. The decisions that I make are based on what I know when I knew it. And if I am causing a relationship to be in a place where that subordinate does not feel comfortable communicating to me, then I am making less effective decisions and recommendations to my leadership. Potential barriers to effective leadership, right? Time is a factor. I do not always have the time to source input from my subordinates, and it may not be the right thing to do. If it is a situation where they are doing something that can result in loss of life, limb, or eyesight, I am not going to get them in a conference room and see what they think about the situation, right? A decision is going to be made on the spot, a correction is going to be made on the spot, and we're going to move on. If it is a threat to my workspace, I have to handle that. If it is a sensitive situation where somebody, say, is coming in for suicide intervention, again, I'm not going to sit the whole team down and go through that. However, those snap decisions are contrary to how I like to operate as a leader. And so I'm operating outside of my comfort zone, potentially making less effective decisions. Again, not every supervisor can have a positive relationship with every subordinate. I have had people working for me where no matter what I invested into the relationship, they would not get with the program, and the information flow that I need from my subordinate was not there. Some team members are unwilling to buy into our organization's goals, objectives, or value systems. It's okay to have a job and show up 9 to 5 to get a paycheck and go home. But in a scenario where people's lives are on the line or where we're deployed and our safety is on the line, I do need those subordinates to buy into our goals and objectives. And if they don't, I'm going to provide negative feedback to them to get them back in line. And that can also damage that relationship and prevent the information flow that I need. So, in summary, we discussed leadership assessment results, that I am a democratic leader and what that means. in terms of me needing a participative style from my subordinates and valuing information flow from them to me. I went over why I agree on that, and that the assessment does describe behaviors that I have seen myself doing. And we went over openness to communication and how I need those relationships to be maintained in order to have the information flow that I need. And we also went over potential barriers to effective leadership in terms of I'm not always able to crowdsource information before I make a decision, and that having negative relationships with my subordinates can limit my ability to be an effective leader. If you have any questions for me, please reach out. Thank you.